The 10 most expensive transfers in the history of football. We think we know them, but some of them are really going to surprise you. Some fees have been forgotten, others seem unbelievable today, and several transfers have become symbols either of complete success or total disaster. In this video, we're going to break down these 10 transfers. We'll look at the context, the expectations, what actually happened. For each one, we'll give a final verdict. Flop, decent transfer, or masterclass? Let's get started right away with number 10. 2019. Eden Hazard is coming off a massive season with Chelsea. Premier League Player of the Season, offensive leader, Stamford Bridge idol, and above all, a childhood dream he never hid, playing for Real Madrid. With 1 year left on his contract, Real don't really have a choice. If they want Hazard immediately, they have to pay 120.8 million euros for a player who could have left for free 12 months later. But in Madrid, there are no doubts. Hazard is coming to become Cristiano Ronaldo's heir, except even during preseason, the first warning sign appears. Hazard shows up with a few extra kilos, and what follows will be a real nightmare, because very quickly, the injuries start piling up. First, a muscle injury, then a fracture, then a relapse, then another injury. Hazard never gets the chance to regain rhythm or confidence. And the numbers are brutal. In 4 seasons at Real Madrid, Hazard plays only 76 games, scoring 7 goals and providing 12 assists, one of the weakest returns ever for a transfer of this magnitude. On June 3rd, 2023, Real Madrid officially announced his departure. And a few months later, in October 2023, he retires at just 32 years old. The end of an extraordinary player, but also one of the biggest industrial failures in Real Madrid's history. Verdict: flop. A massive failure, despite a player who will always remain magical. January 2023. 6 months earlier, Enzo Fernandez was still playing in Argentina before signing for Benfica in July 2022 for 10 million euros. A good deal that would become one of the fastest and most profitable transfers in football history. Because in the meantime, he becomes a World Cup winner with Argentina and is even named Young Player of the Tournament. Within weeks, his name is everywhere in Europe. Chelsea, deep in reconstruction, want him at all costs to become the leader of their midfield. But Benfica remind everyone that he has just arrived and that his contract includes a 121 million euro release clause. A massive amount, especially for a player bought for 10 million euros 6 months earlier, and whose market value at the time was estimated at only 55 million euros according to Transfermarkt. But Chelsea don't negotiate, they pay the clause. Enzo becomes one of the most expensive transfers in Premier League history. What follows is less spectacular on a collective level. Chelsea keep changing managers, systems, and players, and Enzo finds himself in a club without stability. Yet individually, he improves. He gradually establishes himself as a key player, becomes one of the captains, and embodies the club's long-term project. In 2025, he even wins the Club World Cup with Chelsea. Today, he continues to grow in an environment that is still unstable, but his role is becoming more and more central. Verdict: solid transfer. A huge fee, progressive adaptation, but a player who is imposing himself and confirming his potential. June 2023. Jude Bellingham is only 19 years old, but he is already one of the most impressive midfielders in Europe. At Dortmund, he did everything: play, dominate, carry the team, become captain, and above all, show that he can handle the pressure of a big club without any problem. Real Madrid have been following him for a long time. They see in him the successor to Modric, Kroos, and Casemiro, a new cornerstone for the next decade. And to get him, the club pays 127 million euros, including bonuses. A huge investment for such a young player. But unlike many transfers on this list, this one becomes an immediate success. From his very first matches, Bellingham impresses everyone. He scores, he orchestrates, and he controls the midfield as if he had been there for 10 years. He even gives Real multiple victories in stoppage time. Within weeks, he is already an idol at the Santiago Bernabeu. In October 2023, he receives the Copa Trophy, rewarding the best player under 21. The following season is a bit less brilliant, but Real Madrid themselves go through a more irregular period. Bellingham, however, remains essential and incredibly mature for his age. Today, he has already established himself as one of Real Madrid's key players. and one of the most complete midfielders in the world. Verdict: masterclass. A player who was worth every euro spent and who looks set to define an entire era at Madrid. We're in 2019. Joao Felix is only 19 years old, but he has just produced an outstanding season with Benfica. His talent is undeniable, and very quickly he becomes one of the most sought-after young players in Europe. Atletico Madrid, in full reconstruction after the departure of Antoine Griezmann, see him as the cornerstone of a new attacking project. And to get him, they pay 127 million euros, a gigantic fee, the highest in the club's history. Felix's arrival is welcomed as a turning point. But very quickly, the difficulties start to appear. His natural style, free, creative, expressive, doesn't really fit Diego Simeone's philosophy, which is much more structured, disciplined, and defensive. The talent is there, but the connection never truly clicks. Sometimes we see moments of pure brilliance, games where he looks unstoppable, and others where he disappears completely. After several inconsistent seasons, Atletico send him on loan, first to Chelsea, then to FC Barcelona, without ever finding the role that would allow him to truly shine. And in 2024, at just 26 years old, Joao Felix makes a surprising decision. He leaves Europe and joins Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia, where he now plays alongside Cristiano Ronaldo. An unexpected trajectory, almost incomprehensible for a player once seen as one of the greatest talents of his generation. Verdict: flop. The potential was immense, but never fully exploited at Atletico, and the rest of his career confirms a disappointing trajectory. We're in January 2018. Philippe Coutinho is at the peak of his powers with Liverpool. Creative, decisive, spectacular. He is one of the most influential attacking midfielders in Europe, and FC Barcelona, weakened by Neymar's departure a few months earlier, are desperate to strengthen their attack. After several months of difficult negotiations, Liverpool finally give in. Barca pay 135 million euros. At the time, it's the third most expensive transfer in history. Coutinho's arrival is seen as a major sporting move, but very quickly, nothing goes as planned. The Brazilian never finds his place in Barca's system. He puts in some decent performances, but never comes close to the brilliance he showed at Liverpool. Things get even worse in the 2019 to 2020 season. Struggling financially, Barca loan him to Bayern Munich, and it's in Germany that Coutinho experiences one of the most symbolic moments of his Barcelona spell. During the infamous 8-2 Champions League match, he scores 2 goals against Barca, a brutal image, and a true point of no return. After that, injuries follow, loans follow, and Barcelona desperately try to find a way out. Coutinho eventually leaves Europe and now plays for Vasco da Gama in Brazil. Verdict: flop. An immense talent, but a disastrous transfer, and one of the clearest symbols of Barcelona's management failures. We're in the summer of 2025. Florian Wirtz is coming off 2 historic seasons with Bayer Leverkusen. He was one of the key architects of the club's first ever Bundesliga title in 2024, and that title was sealed with a legendary moment, a hat trick in the match that officially crowned Leverkusen champions. At 22, Wirtz is considered one of the greatest European talents of his generation. Liverpool, undergoing a major transition, want to make him the symbol of their new era. Leverkusen allow their gem to leave, and Liverpool pay 135 million euros. A massive amount, reflecting both the hype around the player and the belief that Wirtz can become an offensive leader for the next decade. But the adaptation is much more difficult than expected. Liverpool are in an unstable phase, with a squad under reconstruction and a shifting playing identity. Wirtz arrives in a club in full transition, and his early performances are sluggish. The numbers say it all. After 16 Premier League matches, he has 0 goal and 1 assist. A very low output for a transfer of this scale. At this stage, it's hard to fully judge his move. Wirtz is only 21, learning a new league, a new rhythm, a new level of pressure. He remains an enormous talent, but so far, he hasn't justified his price tag. Verdict: trending toward a flop. Still too early to draw a final conclusion, but his start is far below expectations. We're in August 2017. Ousmane Dembele is coming off an exceptional season with Borussia Dortmund. He's only 20 years old, with just 2 professional seasons behind him, but he's already one of the most explosive players in Europe. His ability to dribble, create, and destabilize makes him an absolute priority for FC Barcelona, who need to replace Neymar, gone to PSG a few weeks earlier. Dortmund don't want to sell, and Dembele absolutely wants to join Barcelona. He goes into open conflict with the club, stops showing up to training, and forces the transfer. Dortmund give in, and Barca pay 105 million euros plus 43 million euros in bonuses, a total of 148 million euros. Expectations couldn't be higher, but from his very first season, everything derails. Injuries keep piling up. Every time he returns, he gets injured again. And when he's fit, consistency becomes the issue. Capable of brilliance and disaster, sometimes unstoppable, sometimes invisible. Across 6 seasons at Barcelona, he scores 40 goals and provides 42 assists. Decent numbers, but nowhere near what you expect from a 148 million euro transfer. In 2023, he finally leaves Barca for PSG for 50 million euros, 1 year before the end of his contract. His first season in Paris is still inconsistent, but the second one is completely different. Ousmane Dembélé delivers the best season of his career and even wins the Ballon d'Or. An incredible rise, but one that comes too late to rewrite his Barcelona story. Today, he is a transformed player, but his time at Barca will remain one of the most frustrating spells of his generation. Verdict: flop. Huge talent, flashes of genius, but nowhere near enough output for a 148 million euro transfer. 2025. Alexander Isak is coming off the best season of his career with Newcastle. He has just scored 23 goals in 34 Premier League matches. Liverpool, in the middle of an offensive transition, want to make him their new number 9. But Newcastle refused to sell. Isak, however, insists. He absolutely wants to join Liverpool and even enters into open conflict with his club to force the move. Eventually, Newcastle give in. Liverpool spend an astronomical fee, 150 million euros, according to multiple sources. The most expensive transfer in Premier League history. Expectations are massive, but reality turns out to be much more complicated. From his very first months at Liverpool, Isak struggles to adapt, and very quickly, injuries get involved. After 16 matches, his numbers are underwhelming, 3 goals and 1 assist, far from the level he showed at Newcastle. For a transfer of this magnitude, it's obviously disappointing. Liverpool expected an offensive leader, a striker capable of carrying the attack. For now, Isak hasn't lived up to that role. Of course, nothing is over yet. He's still young, he can still explode, and many players have needed a full season to adapt. Verdict: trending toward a flop. A massive transfer, a talented player, but for now, output far too low for such a fee. We are in 2017. Kylian Mbappe is only 18 years old, but he has just delivered an incredible season with AS Monaco, Ligue 1 champion, Champions League semi-finalist, and already considered one of the best young talents in the world. PSG want him at all costs, but Monaco refused to strengthen a direct rival. Mbappe, meanwhile, has made his choice. He wants to go to Paris. After weeks of tension, Monaco finally give in, and PSG reach an agreement with the player. The operation begins as a loan, then becomes permanent the following year for 180 million euros, the second most expensive transfer in history. And this time, the price is fully justified. Mbappe destroys everything in his path and quickly becomes the face of the Parisian project. He strings together 30-goal seasons, breaks record after record, and carries the team in the biggest matches. The numbers are monstrous. With PSG, he scores 256 goals and provides 96 assists in 308 matches. He becomes the all-time top scorer in the club's history while stacking national trophies and individual awards. But collectively, the Champions League always slips away. One final, no European title, and a relationship with the club that deteriorates over the years. In 2024, he finally leaves Paris to join Real Madrid on a free transfer, a tense departure marked by an ongoing legal dispute with PSG. Today, Mbappe is considered one of the best players in the world, but his time in Paris remains mixed. Individually phenomenal, collectively unfinished. Verdict: decent signing. Exceptional individually, but not enough collectively for a 180 million euro investment. We are in August 2017. An earthquake hits the football world. Paris Saint-Germain activates Neymar's release clause, set at €222 million, a figure never seen before, and one that still makes him, to this day, the most expensive player in history. Neymar arrives with a clear ambition: step out of Messi's shadow, become the best player in the world, and deliver PSG its first Champions League. On the pitch, his start is spectacular. Dribbles, goals, assists. He dominates Ligue 1 effortlessly and forms a terrifying attacking trio with Cavani and Mbappé. But very quickly, injuries become his biggest enemy. Season after season, Neymar misses months of competition. He never played more than 22 league matches in a single season at PSG, an incredibly low number for someone meant to be the leader of the project. Yet his stats remain impressive. In 6 seasons in Paris, he scores 118 goals and provides 70 assists. Exceptional numbers, but too irregular and almost always interrupted by key injuries in the spring. In 2020, he reaches the Champions League final, but PSG falls to Bayern. The story ends in 2023. Neymar leaves PSG and joins Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia. He plays only 3 matches there before getting injured again, then returns in 2024 to 2025 to Santos, his boyhood club in Brazil. His goal is clear: be ready for the 2026 World Cup. An uncertain bet, but the final challenge of a unique career. Verdict: decent signing. An exceptional player, huge numbers, but too much inconsistency and too many injuries to call it a masterclass. We've just gone through the 10 most expensive transfers in football history, and here's how I ranked them, from flops to decent signings to masterclasses. Tell me in the comments if you agree with my ratings or what changes you would make to the list. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next ones coming up. See you soon!